Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, another episode of the Canary Room. I think this is episode 10. You'll tell me if it's not, I'm sure. Listen, thanks to everyone who's subscribed. Oh, God, the cuppa nearly went. Thanks to everyone who's subscribed in the last week or so, and to all of the thousands of you who've watched the video with Dave McDivitt on Gouldian's stunning setup, stunning bird, and a really thoroughly lovely chap. So my thanks again to Dave for letting the cameras in, and my thanks to all of you for enjoying that show. We've got more on the road trips coming up. We will be going to see Pete Harrison before the month is out. We will be going to see Phil Warne. We'll be back with Keith Ferry. We're going to see Andy early as well, and his English Cinnamon and his London Fantasy. So very much looking forward to those trips over the next month or two. Huge thank you as well to everyone who's donated to the channel. If you are able to, this is a non-profit making experience, I should say. If you are able to, on our YouTube page, get this social channel right, on our YouTube page there's a little link there. Anything big or small, much appreciated. It helps cover some of the costs that I incur in putting this show out for your pleasure. A special thank you for a patron who continues to support from afar, and a really big thank you from the bottom of my heart to Mike, Kath and Indy, and you know what, mate, thanks a lot, much appreciated. So what have we got in store for you today? Well, the to-do list. We're going to look at a couple of things in the to-do list today. We're going to have a look at the training of the first round birds. We're going to have a look at how we manage the first round birds as well, and also how we manage the hens, and we'll look at the jobs really that we do as we head towards the end of the breeding season. We've got the redpoll diaries for you too, the Norwich notebook, and of course we'll check in with the fifes. Now, fortunately I didn't knock it off before into the air purifier, because that would have been costly. You know what to do, everyone. Grab yourself a cuppa, sit back and enjoy the show. Lovely. I'm going to start with a quick update on the fifes. Fair to say the second round has been, I'm going to say, a challenge. Could be a nightmare, depending on how you want to look at it. But, you know, we'll remain positive. Oh, and by the way, check shirts are back, everyone. I know you were worried about them. I'm not sure if you can pick it up on camera, but it is check. It's small check. The second round's been really challenging. Variety of different reasons. I've lost a few chicks, so I'll always be candid about that. No explanation as to why. The weather in the UK, it's supposed to be summer. I say supposed to be, it's been a nice day today, but over the last few weeks we've had torrential rain. In parts of the UK we've had frosts overnight, and it's June, so that shouldn't be happening. So it's been a bit of a challenge. What I have done is, over the last few days, I've put hens back in with pans. It's going to be their last round. I've retired a couple more hens. I'm pleased to say the hens that have got pans in, all of them actually have built up again. So, and we've set a few nests, 4 or 5 nests over the last couple of days. So final knock-ins in the breeding season. But in the main section of the five bit of the show today, what I wanted to do was look back on the cockbirds that we bought in earlier this year. So regular viewers to the channel will know that we bought 4 cockbirds in for the 2024 breeding season. We bought in a heavily variegated buff cockbird, stunning bird this. Really, really, really nice bird. Really good quality. Gerald's kept his brother, so we'll, be able to swap some siblings, I'm sure, at the end of the season. I bought in another bird 2 birds that I've had my eye on for some time. The first is another heavily variegated. This is a cinnamon carrying bird. Again, a nice bird. You see it here in the isolation cage, as it's become known. See it here, there. It's again, it's a nice bird, this, but more importantly, it produces nice birds, and that was key for me really in the acquisitions that are made. I bought one unflighted bird in, which was very well bred and had all the qualities I wanted to put into my stud. And the other 3 I bought in were proven, and I bought them in because I'd seen what they'd produced, and in some instances I own what they produce. So the second bird, a heavily variegated buff cock, split for cinnamon, so a carrier of cinnamon. There is a video on cinnamon and cinnamon parenting and the likes on the channel if you need a more detailed explanation on that. Third bird was a ticked yellow cock, and this bird again, it's on a green ring, so it's 4-year-old this year. It's bred some absolutely stunning birds for Gerald. Very fortunate to get it. And then the final bird is a clear buff cock, which again is a really nice bird and bred show winners last year as well. So really, really pleased with the acquisition. So sort of from the top, the heavily variegated buff cock bird, the first one that we saw, we see it again here now, that was paired with 3 hens. It was paired with 2 self-green hens and a heavily variegated hen. It's produced chicks with all of the hens, which is great. The third bird, the self-green hen, I have now retired. I have still got 1 chick from that pairing, which is away, feeding itself, doing okay. The other 2 hens have produced some, we can see some of them here, some really nice birds. Now, they're not at a stage where they are ready for the camera. So they're in the molt, they're starting the molt, they're starting to break. I like the shape on them, I like the size of them, I like the style on them. So pleased with him. I will put the heavily variegated hen, who's just behind me here in the cage, I will put her down again for another round. The self-green at the top in cage 10, she's chipped out some young in the last 24 hours, so that will probably be her last run. So that's the first heavily variegated green cock. The second, our cinnamon one, been mixed bag with this, to be fair. I got a couple of cinnamons out of him early on, and I like the style of them. I really like the style out of them with a blue hen. I didn't get either of them, one of them to weaning, but I lost it a few days later. And then the blue hen threw the second lot of eggs out of the nest. I'm pleased to say she has gone back down again. She's chipped 3 out. A little shot of them here. There's a couple of cinnamons. They're only sort of 48 hours old. A couple of cinnamons, or might be fawns, I don't know, but there's a couple of cinnamons in there anyway that will be visual cinnamons. I can tell that by the pink eyes, and there's a dark. I paired him back to his daughter, which was a variegated cinnamon yellow hen. She was an absolute letdown, so she didn't sit any eggs, threw them out, so she's been retired as well. And then the final hen that he had was a fawn hen that I bred last year, which is the sister to the blue cock. She, in the first round, had 3. So visual fawn hen, so cinnamon fawn hen over a carrier cock. 3 young, not a cinnamon amongst them. So there's 3 blues actually, which I'm delighted with. They're in a sort of dark bottom cage, which means you haven't really seen what they look like. I've got a shot of them here, but you can't really tell. There's one heavily variegated, one sort of variegated, borderline heavily variegated, and there's a self in there as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing them. They could be nice. Our third cock, which is the ticked yellow cock, been a real challenge with him. Again, I paired him over 4 hens actually. 3 initially. One of them didn't lay an egg, unflighted bird, so she was retired. The other one hatched 2 in the first round, didn't feed them, I lost them unfortunately. So again, she's been retired. And then the third, which is a ticked buff hen, which I bred last year, that's in cage 20. She hatched a couple out, I moved them, lost one, I've got one. I say I've got it. It's got a tick mark on its head. It's still in the nest. It's starting to feather up now, so fingers crossed we've got that. And I have got one other bird off another buff hen from him. So only a couple out of him, which I'm disappointed about. I have run him again over a new buff hen that I bought him from Gerald last time round. He did fill an egg in that round, but only the 1 egg. And that's been sort of a bit of a story really. The fertility levels haven't been great, but he's an old boy, so what do you expect? The final one then is really the sort of standout superstar, and that's this clear buff cock. And he has gone, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, across 7 hens in the Canary Room, and he's filled eggs with all of them. I have recently run him over a hen in cage 72, a clear yellow hen that I bred last year, which has produced some really nice birds with me, for me. This year I've got 5 out of her already, although she hasn't reared any of them. I've fostered them away. Out of the hen in cage 9, which is a green ring hen, I've got 1 out of that, and that's on the sticks, and that looks really, really nice. I'd like to get more, so I've paired him back over her. She's built up. He's currently in cage 15. He's mated the hen in cage 15. I got 4 out of them in the first round. And then in cage 21 is another hen that he's with, and she's rearing young at the moment. And then finally in cage 28, I got 4 out of this hen in the first round, and I like the look of all of them. And she's built up, and he's with her as well. So he's still got a job to do. So, you know, the assessment for really good acquisitions. Disappointed with the sort of, not the quality, but the quantity from one of them, but with the others, absolutely delighted. Shall we head over now to the Redpoll Diaries? It's do you know what? It's been a good year with the Redpolls this year, and I think when I reflect on it, and I'm in a period of heavy reflection at the moment, but when I reflect on it, I had put 7 pairs of Redpolls down. I've had 5 of those pairs which have gone to nest and laid eggs. I've got young out of 4 of those pairs, and anyone who keeps native British species will say that's not a bad return. What I'm really pleased about is the pied Redpolls this year. I've bred a number of pied Redpolls. I've got some now, I think there's 9 or 10 away feeding themselves. There's a split pied in there as well, feeding itself. And another 3 have chipped out in the last 48 hours or so. Now, it's quite remarkable this, because this hen has reared 2 in the first round for me, 4 in the second round for me, and has reared 3, or is rearing 3 in the third round. So she's devouring the pinkies. I say it's quite remarkable because she's only got 1 foot, so she can't balance properly. But it hasn't stopped her from producing eggs, those eggs being fertile and rearing young. So hats off. She will be, what should we call a peg? Let's call her Peg. Peg will stay until her final breath in this room, because she's earned it this year. The other pair, which are a pair that I got in last year, and they did really well for me last year, and they did really well first round for me this time round, and they've messed about since then. And if you watch the Native Diaries, you know I put 2 nest pans in for them, and she started building and she started laying in the second nest pan. And this has been a pattern for the last couple of sort of rounds. She laid 2 eggs, hasn't sat them, so I moved them and put them under a normal. And now, and you might just be able to see this in the shot, she started building in the nesting material holder. So the other 2 sites have got a bit of cover around them, they're a bit more sheltered. No, she wants to build in there. What can I say? The third pair of pieds that we've got, which is a pied cock and a split pied silver hen, they've reared 1 chick. She's been a bit hit and miss, to be honest, with eggs. She's on 4 eggs at the moment. She's incubating them. I don't, as a general rule, check the eggs with the Redpolls. And the reason I don't is I don't really like to interfere with them that much. But also, I find that the incubation period is about 10 to 11 days. And very quickly, Redpoll young will jump, so 14 days or so they start venturing out the nest, and generally speaking the hen will go back down. So really you're looking at a sort of 25-30 day window for a cycle with young. So I just think, leave them to it, keep the disturbance to a minimum. The cobalts, I've got 1 really nice looking cobalt in the nest. I've put some more nesting material in. I'm hoping they'll go back down. And then the split Isabel cock with the normal hen, they were all clear in the first round, but she's gone back down for the second. So that is this time out's Redpoll Diaries. Should we get on to the to-do list? Let's do it. So in this month's to-do list, really, there's a couple of areas that I want to cover. So the first area is the start of show training. So our first round, youngsters, a large number of them, not all of them because I haven't got the cage spaces yet, have been sort of paired off, generally speaking, in nest mates, or if they weren't actual nest mates in terms of bred the same way, they've been reared the same way. You can see here, I have hanging on this cage here, I've got a training cage, and you'll notice that alongside the training cage, just on this side here, there is a drinker, but the drinker's currently got conditioning seed in. So I have this hanging on the cages, and I will see the birds sort of popping in and out. You can see I'm stood right next to this bird. It probably hasn't worked out how to get out yet. But this bird is in here relatively comfortable, and they are sort of putting their head through, getting the treats, and I'll, start training for finding the water in that soon as well. So first thing is the start of the show training. I'm not taking the cages away that much. I'm not overly handling the birds that much at this stage, but I am hanging cages on. I'm using the DS Birds cage front hangers again. Fabulous. Darren's done a great job there. Fabulous little things. They're built for Norwich, but they house the 5 cages really well. So they're snug, no chance of the birds getting out. So that's the first thing in the to-do list. The second thing, which is kind of related, is managing the young when they've been weaned and they're away. Now, the young are on hard seed, and I can see them eating hard seed. I'm topping it up, blowing off the husks every day, topping it up every day. But what I'm also doing, and it's something sort of relatively new this year, is I'm continuing to give them a little egg food drawer of egg food in the morning, each morning. Not a lot, probably about half a tablespoonful, but just enough to keep them going, just to give them that sort of protein. And what I'm also doing is giving them soak seed. And I'm giving them soak seed as I'm feeding it to the other birds. So I'm going through sacks and sacks of soak seed, but I really don't care. And you can see from the shot here, they really, really enjoy the soak seed. What's super important at this time is some of the birds have started now to go into the molt. I can see tail feathers on the cage floor. And so the hens that I've retired, which are in the cage above me here, in the flight cage, that's opened up. So it's 4 foot that they've got to fly in. They are also getting a mixture of soak seed and egg food daily. I want to give them, as much as I can to get them through the molt. And then the final thing of the to-do list is it's starting to break down the breeding season. And, we're all busy. We've all got lots of things to do. Little and often is the key. Do not, and I've done it in previous years where, you kind of take all your nest pans out in one go and you throw them in a pile and you think I'll get to them, and then it becomes insurmountable. So little and often. So I've taken a load of nest pans away. I've washed them. You can see a little photograph of them here. They're stacked. They'll go back in plastic containers for the winter months, and then fingers crossed, all being well, we'll bring them out again next year. So that's the to-do list. Let's head over now, catch up with the Norwich in the Norwich notebook. A huge thanks to everybody who got in touch with me after the last episode of the Canary Room and the Norwich heartbreak, as we're going to call it now. I had a message from Keith. I had a message from the Jones and Roberts partnership, words of encouragement, words of advice, and a conversation on Messenger as well with Kia over in Canada. So thank you everyone for reaching out. I really, really do appreciate it. There's no hair to pull out, but I would have pulled it out this year. So Norwich-wise, well, I'm pleased to say that we're doing all right-ish at the moment. So white hen here is on 3 full eggs. I've left her sitting. I will move them probably before they're due to hatch. I'm just waiting for her to take some young out of another nest, and then I'll shift them under there. I've got synchronised fife laying with another Norwich hen here who's laid first egg today. So I've synchronised those, and it's worked, which is almost a miracle. That hen has reared a Norwich already for me, and it is currently the only Norwich that I've got in the room. And it's looking okay. As I'm looking at it now, you can't see it out of shot, and I can't spin the camera around, and my phone's in the house. It's tucking away to the soak seed. So the advice, you know, I've always been given with the Norwich is leave them as long as you can. It is eating. Also the advice, you know, make sure you kind of make, they're not getting bunged up, because they can do. They've got a soft fluffy down underneath. And also the other piece of advice I was given, which is great, and I've not done it with this one because I don't think I need to, is if they're particularly browy, just to trim the brows, because they'll come back. So appreciate all of that advice. So Norwich wise, you know, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. Hopefully we'll get a few more on the sticks before the end of the year, because of course this year's young become next year's breeding team. Well, listen, everyone, that is all we've got time for on today's show. Thank you to everybody who has subscribed to the channel. If you haven't, please do think about hitting the subscription and the notification bell as well. I hope your season's gone okay. I look forward to meeting many of you in far-flung places across the globe later this year. Until next time, everyone, take care.